Apparently ignoring their own words about being done with character reworks, Klei is here to say that they aren't done with character reworks, everyone. Woodie, Wolfgang, and Wormwood now all have additional skill trees to their names, and if you're like me and don't believe what you see, here's the official post about the whole damn thing. Oh, and the new main menu there, as yup, it is a thing, everyone. Let's discuss. And we begin with Insights, the mechanic introduced in Wilson's refresh that sees us earn points over time that can be used to unlock perks within these very trees. And for the most part, minus a day or two at most, the systems are identical. It's going to take roughly 150 to 160 days played in order to unlock all 15 insight points for all 3 survivors. However, note that it's still a system that carries over from world to world, meaning you can play and earn maybe half the days and points in one world, or to carry your progress over to the next for the rest. In short, once you earn an insight point, you keep it. Make notes. As come on now, we're really only here for the fun stuff, right? Take Wormwood's new right skill tree, for example, which really gets into their lunar roots. The first perk makes all butterflies passive to the plant boy, if that's something that interests you. However, one of my early favorites is Wormwood's exclusive buff to mushroom planters. Not only does Wormwood now half the time needed to grow the planters through their next stages, but even just one mushroom planted can now yield 6 in total without the need of spores. But speaking of mushroom spores, however, another skill around this tree sees any moon shrooms eaten by Wormwood spawning a sleeping spore cloud for a few seconds that does indeed work on bosses as well. To continue though, Wormwood also has a set of skills that sees them being able to create lunar saplings, lure plants, and berry bushes at the cost of specific resources and their health, but perhaps the biggest draw is that of the syrup of Ipecaca. An entirely new craft, the thing can be fed to pigs and beefalo in order to force them to poop. And no, not kidding, they take damage over time and quickly provide 3 to 4 manure for our pleasures. Have fun, but we ain't done yet. The right tree affinities touch on the bright shade gear here, and see the armor temporarily trapping attackers with some new bramble formations that also deal a bit of damage themselves, while also giving any attacks with bright shade gear a chance to spawn some lunar vines that help whip our enemies, very similar to the Thulside clubs. It's cool stuff. And to think that all of that is just the right skill tree, choosing to go down the left path will see you becoming quite the farmer, as Wormwood will now be able to identify planted seeds even before their first ever growth cycle, will be able to tend to any crops from miles away from fully bloomed, will automatically produce flower petals when roaming around in this flowery-like state, which also just so happens to last a little longer now, and then some being things like having fruit flies be more attracted to you to save your plants at the cost of spawning a load of the fruit flies more often, and or having killer bees not actually mind you at all, but still, I do see the potential in the latter at least. But finally, the affinities of the left tree see Wormwood being able to transmute certain resources into specific lunar mobs like care rats, bulbous light bugs, and salamanders. Enjoy. As it's Wolfgang's time to shine now, and his trees are very straightforward. His mighty crit mechanic that fells or mines things instantly can be raised to a respectable 15% chance over the original 1% or something like that. His training tree is all about his mightiness training overall, but it does introduce 4 new crafts, of which 3 are freshly pumped dumbbells, so that's fun. And to expand on that very thing, therm bells are the equivalent of the lowest dumbbells there are when it comes to stats and lifting mechanics, only you know. They're also a thermal stone of all things. Ice and fire dumbbells are the exact same as gem bells, only they can freeze and set fire to whatever we throw at them with extreme efficiency for the latter, I might add, which is going to be great for Central Klei. And finally, all thrown dumbbells can have their damages increased up to 2 times if you do so choose to do so. To continue though, exploring further in this tree can grant you the ability to not only complete perfect mighty gym lifts automatically without having to press a button, but can also see you essentially overcharging your mighty meter to 150 overall for extra bonus time in this state. Yup, it's a thing, as is this, the training whistle. A little done broken at the moment, this new Wolfgang exclusive craft is meant to raise the sanities of others around him when blown, all the while increasing the damages of any followers you have. Unfortunately though, neither one of those mechanics work for me no matter what I did, so I don't actually have the exact numbers for you at this point. So to wrap up Wolfgang, comes his own affinities to planar damage, as well as his Shano and lunar perks. To make life and math easier for all of us, note that his mighty Mighty Tree gives all planar damage weapons an additional 25 flat damage per hit no matter what. And yes, that is a huge deal, but combine it with the actual affinities that see Wolfgang potentially dealing an additional 30% damage to either shadow and or lunar enemies, and things are gonna get ridiculous. Have fun, as it's time to end the day with the wackiest set of skill trees, Woodies. Now that doesn't mean that they're bad, as his Lumberjack branch sees him using Lucy to efficiently refine logs into boards, helps him create a unique and cheap head armor for all in the event that the team needs protection early, and he can now even make full-blown walking canes at nearly no cost. And this can be game-changing early on. To continue though, if selected, Woody has a skill that sees him picking stuff faster for whatever reason, but he makes up for it instantly by also having the ability to deal double the damage to tree guardians, so that's nice. But speaking of, the tree also unlocks a new Woody craft that when burned near trees will instantly turn them into tree guardians, so that's a whole flippin' thing they use and abuse. But as we move on to his cursed tree, things get even more interesting, as while he can only quote-unquote master one were form at once, as you can see, the leftmost skills not only make all were forms last a bit longer, but again, that's actually not really working for me right now, so I apologize. Coming out of these forms will also no longer see him starving. Not bad, but what are the actual were form specifics here? Well, Beaver can now break super hard stuff like rift stalls, dreadstone pillars, and more. The Beaver has an admittedly devastating tail slap mechanic that now seemingly uproots and destroys everything in a huge range, and can even just mine and chop faster overall if that's your thing. Moose is next, and can now recover from charges faster, simply move faster in the form overall, benefit from a health regeneration effect, and now even has a combo move that deals 136 damage a hit if landed, on top of just having better punches and armor protection overall. Yup, it's all straight buffs honestly. But last and certainly not least, Jesus Goose. Goose runs faster than ever somehow, can no longer get wet, can literally fly to random parts of the map it seems, and can even dodge attacks at a fairly high rate. Can I also just reiterate that this is an official update and not a mod, please? But before we go though, Woody's shadow skill won't spawn any hostile nightmares when he's in a were form, and his lunar affinity prevents were form transformations during full moons. Great stuff, and make notes. And there you have everyone. Apparently the first of many skill tree batches to come now that Klei is back to doing character refreshes for some reason. And to think that we didn't even get to the bonus tweaks, the void and bright shade nonsense there. Yes, there is more to come from this update, believe it or not. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.